Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and you are amazing, beautiful, wonderful, talented, and great people. Hi. There are a lot of things that are just not quite, just not quite. But that's okay. Today is Friday. TBD Gamer, TBD Gamer, hello TBD Gamer. One way of showing you're under the weather, I suppose. It's awesome that the window swap randomly chose this video feed. This is Manoi, Vietnam in August. It's beautiful rainy weather. Oh dear. But yeah, so I'm using Finite's filters, his retro effects filters. Definitely give them a check. I really should create a shout out for those. They're amazing and easy to use in OBS. Whew. But I decided to do this one because I don't know. I just felt like it. Anyway, here's my desktop. So today is Friday, and Friday on this channel are community days. And I haven't even gotten Discord set up. Voice channels, stream room. What else? Virtual camera. And turn on cam. Okay, so that is up and running. If you're interested in having voice conversation, I cannot guarantee that I will be very engaged or engaging, but I'll do my best. But if you do have topics that you want to discuss and you want to use your voice, then hop into any of the voice channels in Discord and let me know using the !waiting command in chat that you are in a room waiting to be pulled into the stream room. When I pull you into the stream room, you can mute the stream since I have voice coming through Discord, obviously, but I also have the camera showing what is showing on stream as well, so that you can get real-time updates. You can still watch the stream and get lagged updates, but that's fine. Anyway, hi Duka Soft. So I would work on the bot more today, but I'm tired of the bot. Not the remake of the bot. I love that, but let me just show one thing that's happening, and maybe someone has a suggestion. So I have the bot registered as a Windows service, and that is because it's running from a file folder called D Web Server Apps Twitch Bot. And you can see that I have the Kestrel application here as an exe. And so I have that set up in my Windows service, and I hit start, which is spelled STOUART. And it starts just fine. But when I go to keep it, when I go to localhost 7269, then it says my connection is not private. And I go in here and I look at the certificate, and it says that it's using a certificate. Oh, it's right here. It's using a certificate that expired on November 19th. So what I have done since then is I have run, and I don't want to do it again, but I've run .NET DevCerts HTTPS clean, .NET DevCerts HTTPS trust. Oh, one thing is that after I did the clean, I tried launching one of my normal apps from the browser, or from Visual Studio, and it told me certificate error, and then I did the trust. And then I had to close all browsers and reopen them, but it shows up without any certificate errors. It's using the latest certificate. I went ahead and grabbed that certificate, exported it, and then trusted it as my root. But the thing that I think is happening is that for whatever reason, I love certificates said no one ever. Stop and start at the same time. Stort. For whatever reason, anytime that I run the app, at least from the Windows service, which again, another thing that I have done is NSSM uninstall this service and then reinstalled it from scratch. But is there anything that I can do to tell the service what certificate it's using? Is there anything on the machine's configuration somewhere that I can look at that says what certificate my Kestrel application is running? It's just anything at all. I'd be happy to try. But right now what I did is I launched the bot in Visual Studio using .NET Watch, and of course, since the certificates there are trusted, as you can see here, the bot is running just fine. On a different port, but just fine, nonetheless. Hi, tired of the bot. I'm Dukasoft Daki. So I am open to any suggestions for that. But as I had on the footnote and the title screen, I'm probably just going to be doing my job until someone starts wanting to have a conversation, and then we'll have conversation. I will pay attention to you more than working on this, but I can at least let you know what I've done over the past couple of days. So from Wednesday after the stream through this morning, and this morning I didn't get very much done at all because I needed to be away from my computer for many minutes on end. And yeah, I'm still feeling it, but a bit better, doing a bit better. Okay, if you aren't comfortable using your voice to do conversations, you don't have to use the Discord voice channel. You can always chat and I will read off your comments and make comments back and have conversation with you that way. So yeah. Dixoff says, I've got nothing other than running it somewhere else. I don't know how to do that either. Like, how do I specify the port? So like some things that we can look at, I mean, I'm not going to open my app settings, but some of the other things we can look at are, I think it was I don't know where it was. I don't know. This should open on another screen, but I'm gonna be safe today because, hey, you're supposed to be here. App settings.production. Can I give you a new URL? Will that work? I have a configuration in here for my base URL, but I don't know if that means that it's going to register that as my listening URL. Did I stop the service? And if that's the case, then I'm going to have to update my Twitch configuration and stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, it stopped. Okay, what happens if I run the executable now? It's still running on 7269. So whatever this setting is inside of my app settings.production that I can supposedly or that I have in there, my application base URL, is most likely just to configure program.cs on startup with URL it should be, the API should be pointing to. Back to desktop. How do we do that? Is there a launch settings? Is there a... Because I know there's a web config. And inside of web config, there wasn't anything that I could configure as far as ports. Hosting model is in process. I'm logging to standard out. Which is here. And we can see that there are no errors. Come here. No errors on this. Maybe, oh, still the same, I'm gonna have the same issue where I would need to register non-HTTPS port 5269. Hey Marcus, voice coder. Yeah, I'm not feeling well, and I thought that I would do a visual cue of it by using Finite's retro OBS plugins. Right, and this was before I configured my app settings after reinstalling, so I know what that is. But we should be back to having no errors. Yeah, we're back to having no errors. I think. Are you talking to me or Marcus? I didn't expect to see me either. So yeah, Dukasoft says, I've got nothing other than running it somewhere else. Not that it helps either, but I'm happy how my bot's running Docker container on NAS. Yeah, it's... I just don't understand why it's still trying to use the expired certificate, especially since I cleared out that certificate from my management console server certs. So two things should have happened. Number one is that they got cleaned out when I ran that PowerShell command .NET dev certs HTTPS clean. And then number two, I came into my certificate snap-in and I got rid of all of my localhost ones that existed, deleted all of them, and then recreated the one using the .NET command. And none of the ones that exist in here are expired, and I don't have any under personal that are expired. I don't have any under intermediate certification authorities that are expired. Trusted publishers. I don't even have any local host. But yeah, that's it. I don't know. Sorry if this has been asked. Does a deployed service still pick up the dev cert? I assume you're building it in release. I am building it in release. Here is how I'm publishing it to the folder. We'll start there. Publish, 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 publish. So I am publishing it using the publish to a folder, publishing and release, portable. Yeah. Hello, Snubble. It is a very black and white day today. Is there a cert in the published folder? There wasn't by default. I did pull one in that I'm using for my signing certificate for requests going out, but that's not the one that it's trying to use. Where was the folder again? Does anyone know where I put the folder? Web server, Twitch bot. So this one here is used in my actual application for persistent authentication, blah 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 signing, certificate signing. But that one is actually a certificate called Automated Realms in my certificate store. These are great questions. Great questions. But no other certs that I'm aware of. My doorbell just rang. Don't they know? Oh wait, that might be something I need to answer. Hold on. 1 second, please. Yes, that was expected. Okay. We have a couple. It's the FBI. We have a couple of dad jokes while I was away. One of them is, I fear for the calendar. Its days are numbered. And another one that is, people who don't eat gluten are really going against the grain. I struggle with math jokes. They don't add up for me, says Snubble. Marcus says, that was a corny joke. Okay, so those have been really great questions. I really just like, the thing that I want to know is there somewhere, and I have asked the internet for Blazor apps running locally, where does the app get the certificate? Configure Kestrel. Use HTTPS. Am I doing that? I kind of remember Configure Kestrel now that I'm looking at this. Yeah, here it is. Oh my goodness, here it is. And yes, it is using I relish the fact that you mustered up the courage to catch up with me. I got no beef with that one, says Dukasoft. All the puns. Okay, now that I remember this, this is how I'm configuring what ports and supposedly which certificates, but if it's really using this certificate here, oh, that's what I meant. I'm on a seafood diet. I seafood, I eat it, says Snobble. Okay, I'm gonna install this certificate and see if it is the localhost one that is expired. I bet you that's what's going on. This was actually localhost. Sounds fishy. Okay. Control M. Certificates. Add computer account. Local computer. Trusted root. If I have a new local host that is expired, I don't. But I do have the automated realms one. What? What? So the automated realms one has a subject of automated realms. What? With the subject alternative name DNS or localhost. That's very confusing. I think I just need to create a new self-signed certificate. Okay. I'm gonna drop that then, because if it's just that I need to create a new self-signed certificate, then that should be good. What happens if I don't even see my Visual Studio SSL or self-signed certificate? Document DB emulator, console emulator. This is the one that I created today. What if I export localhost? Oh, but I can't password protect it. I can't export the private key with it, which means that I won't be able to use it. Or can I? No. Okay. I'll create a new self-signed certificate and trust it and give it all the right permissions and everything, and hopefully we'll be good. Let me find, oh, I don't know why I just closed that. I need to find my notes for the certificate, and then we'll get moving on to the rest of Community Day. Ooh, that tasted really bad. This certificate issue NSSM is where I had it. So I'm gonna grab my notes for this. Go to my certificate issues possible fix. This didn't work. Maybe create a new self-signed certificate with all of the right permissions and update the certificate in program.cs for Blazor web app project. Here is a sample, but the permissions need to be updated. Usages. Okay, cool. Fantastic. I'm gonna leave that there, and we're gonna move on to the future. So hello and welcome into another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Today is Friday. It's Community Day. Please let me know if you have any topics that you wish to discuss, and we will do so. Windows, do you really trust your own self-signed certificate? Are you sure? Yes, I'm Bedukudi, but I don't want to sign into Stack Overflow. That's IIS. What about if you're using Kestrel? Actually, I want to keep this on my notes. Stuff. Okay, so I will tell you for now, again, until and unless someone else wants to drive the conversation, what I have done since Wednesday on the work product. So as you can see, I have the application up and running. I couldn't use my NuGet package with all of the Blazor auth stuff that I tried to set up for the RMA applications to make it easier to just reference that NuGet package, and then I have auth suddenly. So I just went back and applied all of the changes to a new Blazor web app template with individual authentication, changed all the namespaces, imported the right database, or not imported, but what's the word? Set it up for DI. Why does it say water management Blazor? I thought that I fixed that. Control F, no, Control H, and we'll turn that into RMA. Oh, dear. That's disgusting. Pasta, entire solution. 2 occurrences, yuck. Okay. So that's the client. I wanted the program CS for server. Okay. So here you can see where I am referencing or adding the ASP.NET Core Identity context database project context thing using identity connection. And then I'm also referencing this new database that I'm creating for this process in order to be able to store configurations that the user makes so that it can be retrieved later and they don't have to set it up for every workbook that they're trying to import. Yeah, and then I brought in all of the extra configurations so that I can add roles. I trust my certificate, says Snubble, so that I can add roles and role management and be able to use things like the authorize attribute. Why aren't these pages open anymore? They are open. You're so weird. So that I can do things like use the authorize attribute with roles. And in order to set that up, I needed to update the persisting authentication state provider. And I put the word server in there because I wanted to be able to remember that this is the server side one, because the other one is called persistent authentication state provider. So then I put client on that one so that I could remember that too. So in order to get roles, on the client, first I needed to update the user info model that you get if you scaffold your new project with identity. So I added a few fields to it. Carrier darts. Hello. And Thindal is here. So Thindal came in first, so I'm gonna shout out a Thindal. I can never remember the command, but exclamation point waiting. All right, so I will pull you into the room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. Hello.
Hello, friends.
Awesome.
How are you all?
Doing well.
And you? I'm doing all right, thanks.
I said doing well out of habit. That was not mindful of me. I am not doing well at all. I am feeling pretty sick.
You're not doing well. What happened, if you want to talk about it?
I don't.
You don't? All right.
It's just a stomach thing. It's just a stomach thing. That's all.
Okay, so it's physically not all right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a very disgusting feeling.
Yeah. Let's not go too far into that then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So lots of water for me.
I did something dangerous yesterday.
What was that?
I reinstalled my computer.
Oh yeah, I saw that you were doing that during our John stream.
Yes, and now everything is gone and nothing works as it should.
Yay! Oh.
Yay! So I'm trying to
nice
set up my
brand new
fan profiles
computer,
right now. Yeah, or something. Yeah, I am. What's it called? Yeah, my fan profile is all messed up right now, so I have a computer that makes a lot of noise.
And blue screens. Oh.
No, it's the other way around at the moment. All the fans are going at like, I don't know, 80% or something.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, I was having trouble earlier with my bot that's running locally on this computer using a certificate that's expired, and I can't get it to update at all because I have no idea where it's telling it what certificate to use.
Oh,
and then I found it, and then it's using a certificate that's not expired, but it's still acting like it is. So I don't know. At least it's running fantastically fast, says
Nice one. Nice one, Duka. Yes, I just managed to reduce the speed now, so they're running at 20% instead of 50. So all of a sudden, everything went quiet. Can appreciate
Very
that.
nice.
Why are you black and white?
Because I wanted to have a visual representation of how I feel.
Oh.
Where I'm here, but not fully in color.
Present, but not much more.
And just so you know, I may have to step away from the computer every now and then.
Fine. I'll keep everyone entertained.
Suddenly, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Try to.
Oh, man.
Since you're a Blazor expert, I'm not sure if you saw my message in the Blazor channel.
I
But I'd like
appreciate
your
that, but
opinion on something if you have it.
and
If you have
look.
one.
Let's look. Where is this? Yes, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, guys. Not there. Okay.
What are we looking for?
This COC ID. Chain of custody ID. That would be
it's missing.
under not general and stuff.
It's under Blazor chat, I believe.
Topical chat rooms, Blazor chat.
Yeah.
All right. So you were talking about setting up your attribute for the two-way binding thing.
Exactly. But it comes with a caveat. And that is that the .razor files go through a source generator to create the backing class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't run a source generator on source generated content yet. Apparently it's in the works, but right now it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
when the .razor page gets turned into a .razor.g.cs or whatever it's called.
Exactly.
It won't run
Exactly.
on that.
So I can't run a source generator on that and have it output as well. So I managed to create the property. I managed to create the attribute and source gen and everything, but there is a caveat that you need to have a code behind file where you need to put the parameter. You can still put all of your logic inline if that's the way you want it, but... So my stupid question here is, would that be all right? Or am I,
It would fit a lot of
grasping for
people's use
straws?
case, but I don't think it would be a good implementation for a library to have a restriction that you can't use the code block with this attribute.
Yeah.
Or you can't use this attribute in a code block, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was afraid of.
But I mean,
really
it's cool
like
that it works. And I almost
Yeah.
always use a code behind. But like, for example, this sample library that I'm currently working on for the data import utility, I'm using code blocks because, in some places because there's only one thing that I'm doing in there. So I'm like, I'm not going to create a whole
and creating an entire code behind for that would be slightly overkill, right?
But at the same time, I am also like my main layout. I almost always have a code behind, which is up here now.
Just because of that, we don't. But this looks fairly standard.
Yeah, it's simple. It's because I usually have a whole bunch of state management stuff in my main layout for page changing events, for dark mode notifications and stuff. But yeah, it would have all been in here for the sample app is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Even though there's nothing to have in there currently.
It's not a bad idea for using myself, but it could potentially not be a good idea to release because it comes with that limitation.
Right.
And people might not realize it comes with that limitation.
Right.
Or I
And it
could
would
say in that
essentially
case,
just
I mean, I
keep-
could say, all your code needs to be in the code behind to get this to work. So you can't use a code block at all, even though you technically can, but just, I say, yeah.
It would still be an instance where people won't read that and they would just submit an issue to you saying this doesn't work in a code block.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, like the whole thing about having a full prop on a parameter, like one thing that I am really, really happy with is I've been able to write my new projects without any green squigglies and without needing to do suppress warnings.
Yep.
So I don't have any warnings in my builds. But let's say we have this collapsed here and I want to make it two-way bindable. Then the current practice, which you are demonstrating in your message,
in my example there
in Discord, is, and you're using the .NET 9 too. I love that with the
I'm using the field
accessor. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is still .NET 8, but it's the same concept. So we have this backing field. Return it on get, and then we set it on. Oh yeah, I always do that too. If collapsed is already equal to the value, same thing you have.
Yeah.
Oof. And then collapsed equals, and then collapse change invoke async. So 1, you are doing an invoke async inside of a synchronous context.
That feels like an anti-pattern, but that is how you do it, right?
It not necessarily.
Okay.
So
Teach me, senpai.
The other thing is that Visual Studio will give you a green squiggly and says that parameters should be auto properties.
Yes. But
so
it
I don't want any green
do
squigglies.
that when the when it's source generated though.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you green squigglies in source gen at all ever. It doesn't even give you red squigglies. Okay, so the alternative is whatever it is that manages the value of your backing field. So we still have our backing field collapsed. This is the thing that you use for everything. And then you have the, well, if I had a way to collapse it in here. So let's say you had a button in the actual nav menu that is close or something. I don't know. Just do that.
Yeah.
Then here's where you would handle the click event. And normally, because you're just changing the value of collapsed and that would do all of the callback stuff for you, you would just do it here in line. And
that would call the collapse changed, and it would bubble up to whoever is listening.
But here is where you would do the handle close clicked instead, so that you can have an asynchronous context. If collapsed, well, I mean,
yeah, and basically
we're
the
always
same code as I had in the property, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here you could set it on the actual parameter, correct? But that won't bind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, will it actually
you don't
update?
Need to use the backfield. Yeah.
No, but will that actually update in the? Yeah, maybe it will.
Yeah, this will definitely do the two-way binding.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think this is the way that they are encouraging us to do it, which is always do it in a task
method and call the has changed manually. Yeah. I don't like that either.
Yeah, but I mean, this would be a clean way, since your source generated files don't get the green squigglies. It's fine the way that you have it, but this would be like a way. It's just you have no idea what method they're going to use in order to do the two-way binding.
And you need to remember to call all of those and always call collapse changed when you've changed the value, and then suddenly you forget about it.
Right.
And then nothing works.
So this would be something like, I don't know what you call it, observable.
Yeah, but you didn't need the parameter. It's just observable parameter.
Oh, okay.
So it replaces it.
Observable parameter with, so you already know the event callback for it. And actually you wouldn't even have
so
that
as
for
default,
this.
You wouldn't need anything.
Yeah.
Right?
But here
then
you would
if
also
this had been a thing. Ooh.
Like the name of the actual handler for the thing that will.
Yeah,
like
do that,
you're going to generate a method so that
yeah. But how would I call that though?
You don't call it. So they will then have this method source generated for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the event change or event callback. And then they would then use this event. Well, I guess they would have to do this as a string, wouldn't they? Because it doesn't exist until your source generator creates it. I don't like that either.
I mean, you could have a default that gets generated on its own, because that's what I'm doing right now with the event, right? So if you don't send anything in, it'll create a parameter, event callback that's called property name changed, just as it should be. My thought with having, first of all, the default observable parameter, which just did its thing, would also be to have a list of other callback, event callback parameters that could also get called. So if you say that, so this other one depends on this value, it would create an entire chain down, just call them all. Or the ones that you've said depend on it.
Which
that
is
was
still
my
probably
step
something
2.
You wouldn't want to do when you code.
Yeah.
Is have too many event callbacks happen on one event.
Yeah, no, but if you have something that depends on this value, that makes sense. Like if collapsed also should update the text, or you like collapse state and set it to yes or no. You could have this string, in this controller, this component. It could say after you've changed collapsed that when that changes, the value of the other parameter will also be changed.
Yeah.
And that was my use case. So you'd have to define what else depends on this main parameter, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Hi, Big Amy. He said someone upgraded their webcam.
Yeah. But it might not be a good idea.
I'm using Finite's retro effects filter on this just to kind of give a visual indicator that I'm not feeling the best. But
yeah.
We'll get there. We'll make it. So if you
But yeah, using a actual callback method there is not dumb either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in the end, I'm going to forget to invoke it. And then nothing will work, and I'll be scratching my head for 45 minutes trying to figure it out, and then I'll be bashing my head against the wall because I'm going to be calling myself things you shouldn't call yourself.
If you generate this method and you still invoke it in the full prop, I mean, that'd be the only place that you could invoke it, is on the full prop. But unless you're talking about when you have your multi-chain callbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even here, I mean, I'd be calling a synchronous method from the setter.
Yeah, synchronous context.
Yeah, so that would still be the same thing in practice. Just if the code is in a method or if it's in the actual setter, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So then the result is the same. We're calling async code from sync code.
Which you don't know if this is getting done via the same UI thread. So let's say you're running Blazor server with multi-threaded, and that's handling all of your UI events, then this could have been invoked on a non-UI thread. So the developer would need to know that anytime that they're handling the event callback here, if they're trying to do a status change on another component, they would need to do await invoke async so that it switches to the main thread.
And I can't do that in a property either, no.
Right.
Yeah. Plus that would have, I'm guessing, side effects.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. Like locking your UI.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah. And you don't want that. Especially not in a library. If you mess up your own code, in my opinion, that's fine. But if it's a library that messes up your code, I'd get angry or upset.
Definitely.
Yeah. So maybe this wasn't the best idea, but I like the way that you do a handle on, instead of just setting the value, you do a handle and you let that handle also call the changed, right?
Yep. So that's at least what I try to do now. It doesn't always happen that way. Like my modals, even the one that I have in the library is currently show and show changed, where show is a full prop that invokes show changed in the setter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you
Just
do it
because
that
it's
way
the
anyways.
easiest. Yeah, it's the easiest, but most of the time when I'm writing new code, I am trying to have some kind of event handler and then have that invoke the thing.
What we need is Blazor to have the exact same thing that I just created in my source gen, but built in a better way. Yeah.
Like, how does the community toolkit, the Maui community toolkit, do their observable?
I think it's fire and forget, actually. I think that's how they do it. It's like, doesn't matter if it's a void or a task, they just call it.
Because
but they don't need to do invoke on anything there. They just do a method call.
One thing
Plus, over there, since you didn't have partial properties, you also set the observable parameter, observable property, one of them, on the backing field. So you create the backing field and you set the attribute on that.
Yeah. So essentially what you could do is create a whole class that is an observable of that type. And then that class is the thing that has the thing that would eventually call the event callback. So you can subscribe to that component. Like, you'll pass the component reference itself to that class, and then that class will do that instance dot whatever the name of the new event callback that you're creating, the collapse changed here, equals event callback dot, or event callback factory dot create of type whatever, and all right. So that would be the asynchronous way to do it, is using the observable pattern.
Yeah, I was thinking of the MVVM toolkit from the community toolkit for WPF. When that does
that's what I thought
that
they were doing, was creating an observer or an observable pattern.
This looks very different.
Yeah. Hello, TBD.
Oh, it's a TBD.
Hello.
Hello.
And you are mic tested.
How are you?
I am not bad.
Awesome.
I decided to jump in and talk dev rather than sit. Like, I realized yesterday that my job is not to come up with solutions. My job is to come up with ideas for solutions and make someone else solutionize.
You were saying you're an idea man.
Yeah, my boss was not best pleased with me taking my time trying to figure out all the little nuances of the problems. Instead, I was meant to come up with the general ideas and make someone else do the heavy lifting.
Which is not as fun.
I was like,
don't we all like it when someone else does the heavy lifting?
No. Not when you're responsible for the end result. No.
No.
If I'm going to be responsible for the end result, I want to be doing the heavy lifting as well with the team.
Yeah. I hear ya.
What you're talking about here, is this what signals essentially are in Angular?
I believe so, yeah.
Like,
I don't know,
being able to react to the behavior, like the data changing, they react, and then other things can happen. Yeah.
So exactly. Here, if we use a C# value for this parameter, so in my main layout, I have nav menu collapsed. this is passing a value to this parameter. But if we made it two-way bindable, then this will also update when the component itself updates the value of that parameter. So is that how signals work?
So I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole signal thing. So signals were introduced in Angular 16, I think, as a kind of prototyping feature, and then in
it's
18,
fairly new, right?
Yeah, 17 they were okay. Now they're available, and 18 and 19 is their first release with signals being like fully formed, I think. But the idea is like if I just update a value, then anything that's actually watching that thing will, or has a reference to that thing, I believe, will receive an update, and you can kind of in your constructor you set an effect. So if you want things to happen in response to those things changing as well, you just say effect, and it'll just say, okay, something changed, therefore you care about the effects. Yeah. So you can set an import.
So you do a two-way binding in this case. So if you change the value in the place you bound it to, it'll also update the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you just set the value, it's a normal, equals on like string, for example. So you just send the string, value of the string, or you tell it, this object here, keep track of that.
Yeah.
How does that work with complex objects, though, Lion?
If I
send in a complex object, in Blazor. I mean, if you
it works perfectly fine
without two-way binding. So if you assume that collapse menu in this case was a class, and you send that in, and then the nav menu updates a member on that.
Let's find out together.
Yeah.
Private user info, new user info with name. Excuse me, don't you have a property called name? Oh.
Close enough.
Let's do email then, because that's what this wants me to set.
Do you have a constructor that you need on that?
Hello? I didn't set up this class. This is the one that we get for free. Oh, because there are required fields.
All right.
There's always a cost.
Good dot new good dot to string. Okay. And then in nav menu we create a one-way binded parameter user info, and then we have a button that will update our user property in our user info. Private task. Nope, you're just a void now. We're not going to call any callbacks. Update. Let's do the ID. User ID. Just because I want to. Put this in the nav. Am I crazy for always putting type button? Is that like the default?
No. I mean, the default, I think button is by default a type button, but an input you need to set it.
What is it called? Editor required. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay. This
doesn't it have to be nullable if you allow null?
No, the opposite. It gets rid of the green squiggly, but you're promising that this is going to be non-null by the time you use it.
Okay.
It's kind of like putting the exclamation point, the null forgiveness operator at the end of user info every time.
I needed that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Scott taught that to me. Scott has a lot of really cool tips. Okay, so we're going to observe in our top links the user ID. and we're going to see if the user ID updates in our one-way
So I'm
binded
thinking
complex
if it
object.
doesn't update, we can call state has changed.
Yeah, we can definitely try that.
Yeah, we can try that if it doesn't update. If it does update, I'm very happy.
And just to
That would
prepare
also
for
solve
that,
some things for me.
I'll go ahead and, excuse me, expand. Why are you erroring now? And then a button. Click. Do state has cambiado. Oh. Do it. Actually, we can just put it here.
Yeah. Don't you need... No, you don't. Nice. I thought you like really needed to have paragraph signs there. Push the button.
There we go. Push. All right, so nothing updated, but it did update. So it does update the underlying object's member, but it does not automatically refresh because the page doesn't know this object has changed.
Yeah.
Hi, President, not sure in Mojo.
So if you don't actually need to display the new value, you can skip state has changed because it will modify the base object, if that makes sense, because it gets the reference.
Right.
I like this. Because that means that, you know, if you have a component that just talks input, for example, with a complex object, you don't have to deal with two-way binding. Although maybe you should, just to keep things, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I don't ever not want to know when a property changes.
Yeah.
And
again,
so
suddenly
actually,
you start not doing it sometimes, and you do it sometimes, and then all of a sudden you need to do it, and you haven't, and you bang your head against a wall for an hour.
So one example of that is, here is my editor, and here is a value that's being displayed as a member of this transformation operation. There is a transformation result, and we're getting the original value property and the new value. So when I update this details part, everything from detail to the actual output, is from a child component. And so I need to be able to real-time update with a debounce output value. So there would rarely be a case when I wouldn't want to update my UI.
Yeah. The only reason you wouldn't would be because it allows you to be lazy. But again, if you start being lazy and it suddenly doesn't work because you didn't know you needed it there or you forgot, yeah, that's worse, I think. So I think, having two-way binding as the default is a good idea.
Yeah, and I really do like that you're trying to find a way to make it easier instead of needing to always write out either full prop or event handler with a call to that event callback.
Yeah.
That was a lot of.
But with the limitations that are currently there, it's not going to be a great idea. Or it was a good idea, but the implementation won't be great.
So what do you see happening when you try to... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so they're going to be changing the way that source generators work, where you can run them in series later, and you'll be able to define where in the chain you want your source gen to do its job. So, but until we get that, this is dead in water with adding it in the actual Razor file. The fun thing is, if you move back to net 5, my code would have worked.
Really?
Yeah, because in net 5, Razor files weren't compiled using source gens. They were
Right.
compiled during the build process instead.
Right.
So it would have worked. But then someone had to be smart in everything. And it broke my smart thing. Which didn't exist back then, but...
Wait. Wouldn't that still be an issue, though? Because the source gen runs before the compile.
Yeah. But that would modify the code, and then it would only be a single source gen on the code, right? So that means it would work. But in this case, the problem is that it runs through source gen, and then it runs into another one.
The generated file, the compiled file wouldn't exist until after the compile step, and your source generator has already run before that compile step. So you'd have to build twice.
Yeah, maybe I'm really wrong here.
I mean, is that sounding logical to you?
Yeah, it does. It does. But I read about, being able to use source gens on actual Blazor Razor files.
Which is
what you can do, apparently, you can go into your CS proj and you can change the compilation mode for your Razor files to use the old way. But I haven't even tried that because people aren't going to, because again, that is too much of a limitation. And if I release this, people will start complaining because it doesn't work. Even though it works as intended, and people are using it wrong. Because no one ever doesn't read the documentation, right?
I read the docs.
I read the docs when things don't work. I try, and then I fail, and then I read the docs, and I try again.
All I have to say is... Yay, I actually did it.
I can't even see what that emote is from Discord here.
He's all giggling.
RTFM. Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's a TBD emote.
Mm-hmm.
Used early on my stream because my stream realized that I don't like reading the manual. I'd rather struggle through and learn something by doing than I would read something and get bored of reading it.
Yeah. But I try first, and when that doesn't work, not if, when, I'll go read the actual manual about how to do it all proper like. But I like trying it first because sometimes it's so dead simple. You didn't want to spend, an hour reading documents.
I always feel that if the API is sensible, then you'll actually be able to you'll be able to follow through and figure it out quite quickly.
Yeah.
Remote fiber testing and monitoring. Ridership for the masses. Huh?
Abis is right. And my dislike of reading the document, going to the documentation first, comes from the fact that I spent that long trying to read. Because documentation is either a developer retaliating because they've been forced to write documentation, which means you're just going to get the bare minimum. Basically, they might as well just write a comment like, "This is what it does," by the way. And or it's auto documented, which is also another downside. Like, that's great, it documents the API, but it documents the parameters. You can figure that out yourself if you're using the code. The documentation isn't just the API signature, right?
Right. It's not just the method stubs. It's not just...
Yeah.
That's another thing that I did like. Those builder, I don't know what the technical term for them are, but things like Swagger UI, where as long as you write your XML documentation nicely, it will put the correct type in the documentation and give you the actual param information while you're testing it in SwaggerGen. I keep saying SwaggerGen, Swagger UI.
It's funny, the number of times that recently I've been trying to look through the Pulumi docs, right? And some of them have, here's a sample of us using it, by the way, which gives me context, and I use the code sample to reference off of. But then other times it's just the documented API. There's no actual sample of using it. And I found that really frustrating. And also, I don't have Dark Reader enabled, and because it kind of flips things. So when you get to Pulumi site, it's like, my eyes. Too early in the day to do this.
Sunburn today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know how everyone says that dark mode is better, like objectively better? Turns out it isn't.
Every developer.
Science. Yeah.
Every developer
Actual science. Light mode doesn't change your eye strain at all.
Right.
It's just the fact that we like, having our lights off.
And
again,
that one too. I like
the people who say they like dark mode are the people who sit in dark rooms, sitting looking at screens all day.
Yeah. And then we have people like Snovel who actually use like red mode. Like he's insane in all the good ways, right?
My biggest
but
issue
his IDE is bright red.
Yeah.
So Mojo is saying my biggest issue is when docs give me false hope on combining two tools, for example, Docker plus some other tool, or GitHub Actions plus some tool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know.
You know, I have problems as soon as my tool is Docker.
Having gone through a lot of that the last couple of weeks, I'm a little bit more comfortable with that, and it's been fun so far.
You know, the whole Docker allows you to works on my machine, so you can just use my machine in production. Very untrue, because I run Docker on Windows, which means it runs under WSL.
Yeah.
Which means it uses the mounting points into your actual system to, local, to get to local files.
Yeah.
That mounting point goes into Windows, which is not case sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you host your Docker on Linux, which is case sensitive everywhere. And suddenly you can't access your URIs because someone decided that URIs are in fact case sensitive, or can be depending on the OS that's hosting them. Does that make sense?
No.
My point is URIs are case sensitive. Assume that they are.
Yeah.
And if you're running on Windows,
was a huge issue on Net Framework and MVC apps.
Mm-hmm.
Been a long time
if you're running on Windows, you're fine. But if you're using the same Docker container in production on Azure, you're running it under a Linux server, and then you're suddenly very case sensitive. There is a middleware that fixes that.
Peter says, I understand. Never happened to me.
Never at all, right? So, but the whole, works on my machine, let's ship my machine, is a filthy lie.
Oh, we learned a long time ago not to ship a dev machine.
Mm-hmm.
Emporium guy last night was looking at a job listing, and they were basically like, the job listing was like, must be comfortable with RDP deployment. Like, what is that? I was like, copy paste to a remote desktop. It's been a long time since I've done that. I would never want to go back to it.
I wish I couldn't say that I did last week, but I may have done that last week.
I believe your developer machine should be many times removed from the actual file deployment.
Yeah.
You don't want to risk introducing that dependency.
If you're deploying to an actual server, if you're deploying a Docker container or a Docker image onto a local Iron server, Is it all right to do a copy paste of your image and then import it?
Copy paste.
So you export your Docker image on your dev computer,
Right.
and then you copy that file over to your production server, and you import that into Docker, and then spin up the container using that image. Is it okay to do a copy paste then? All right, so live coding uses Azure Container Registry.
Yeah, I mean, what I did is I paid $5 a month or whatever it is to Docker to get an actual Docker repository, a private Docker repository. So the images I've done for Liquid Sky so far, I have the GitHub Action, which Mojo and I worked hard on getting built out, so that we can just get the image built and pushed to there. So it's that's the kind of way, right? That create a registry, and you should be pushing the image, because you can push the image to registry from your machine.
Yeah, correct. And live coding, I actually have an Azure Container Registry when I think about it. For just a hot second, so maybe that would be a good idea.
If you're using GitHub, you have a free GitHub container registry as well attached to it, and it's private if your repo is private.
Oh, did not know that.
So GitHub Container Registry exists as well.
I think you're at the weird place where you're a one-man shop shipping very cheap. Well, I'm a one-man shop, and I am very cheap.
I'm a one lion shop, and I'm kind of expensive.
I mean, it's my money, so if I can avoid paying something, I'll avoid paying for it. At the same time, I'm also an idiot.
Nice.
In like a decision-making process. Maybe not in general, but sometimes. It's like I was looking at a service, Buffer. Technically, it's a social media posting everywhere service. And they have a paid option that would be pretty nice. It's hella expensive. It's $5 a month. So way too much. And then, just because felt like it, I donated like 10 subs to Fritz's channel. And that would have kept me going on Buffer, which would have actually helped me for like a year.
Oops.
But no. Buying something for myself, bad. Because, the usual, I could build it myself. I could spend, 2 months working on something instead of paying $5 a month. And that's the problem with being a developer.
Sometimes it's worth just spending the money and accepting that that's not your speciality.
Exactly.
Don't stress it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a difficult problem as such. It's just a bunch of APIs to talk to be able to, in this case, post a single message to multiple platforms. But it still takes time to read up on the API and deal with auth, and then you end up with freaking Mastodon, which is insane. Their API is Japanese, directly translated to Greek, and then run through an obfuscator because of the whole decentralized thing.
I've stayed away from social media, like YouTube and Twitch are the only things to do. I don't bother with any of the platforms these days. I'm like, no, don't care.
No.
No.
I decided I want to start, actually using some of these platforms, but I don't want to run around on 5 of them just copy pasting the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Buffer has a free option, so I decided that that's good enough for me for now. And then we'll see. And the reason I decided to do something with this is that someone, coding after work, decided to put me on a list.
A lisp?
On Blue Sky. It's like people doing Blazor to follow. And he put me on there. And it's like, I posted once 2 years ago, and suddenly out of nowhere, I went from 7 followers to almost 300 in 5 days. So I'm like, all right, so maybe I should start posting here then? I don't know.
All those people looking for answers. Does Blazor actually work? How do you do it right? What does Blazor server mean?
The answer
I don't think it's so
suck.
much, Yeah. And I mean, Blue Sky is basically Twitter without Musk. Without going political, that's pretty much it. The Blue Sky kind of exploded just recently. I'm not sure if you saw that. Because of the same reason that Adobe lost a ton of customers. They added things to their terms of service about training generative AI. And all your content are belong to us.
Yeah, one thing with that would have been nice is if there's no. I haven't thought it out enough to be able to articulate it well, but there's something to do with just making everything not approved to be used with AI unless you opt in.
Yeah. That's actually
type of thing.
Yeah. And especially allowing you to opt. Because right now, most of these are like, yeah, so you're using our service, we're going to use your data. Right. End of story. I mean, even if it's opt out, it's better than nothing.
Like, they can definitely claim that that's you opting in to having your data trained on. But...
Yeah, and it kind of is. But if you can actually opt out, that can be acceptable at least, but not being able to is bad. Personal opinion. And also, personal opinion, it's bad, 100%, but people keep jumping on these bandwagons without even really considering the issue. It's just everyone else hates this, so I will hate it as well. Not excusing the basic issue here because it's messed up. It's not that big for most people. Because most people are consumers.
Oh, I really can't. Oh, I'll be back.
Yeah, so now that the boss has left, the line is no longer here. What are we gonna do, TBD? Let's wreck this.
Let's wreck this.
Blue Sky is federated. I believe you're right. It has multiple multiple registries. So does Mastodon. Only Mastodon is even worse with talking to it. Like, their API is insane.
Once the Mastodon stuff started appearing and people were like fragmented, I was like, I'm not even going to try following these people anymore. I'd already, because of Twitter being what Twitter became, I had already unfollowed a lot of people that I'd respected because of they let themselves get pulled into fights that they shouldn't have got pulled into. So I was like, no. My attitude on that is always, if people get embroiled in unnecessary fights that are outside of the thing I follow them for, then both sides get unfollowed, whether I agree or disagree on one side. No,
Mojo, I'm not pooping on Federation. It's just, it complicates things, which is great, but also it's harder to get going if you're not technical, and the APIs tend to go quite complicated. And yeah, live coding. Early Twitter was great. I was early enough in that I managed to get my actual name as my handle. And I am never letting that one go.
Of having a very unique name. I rarely struggle to
Yeah. No, I mean, my name is so common, it's not even funny. But I still managed to get it. I'm not sure. I'm going to have a quick look, see if I can see when I registered on this thingy. And here's the issue with just reinstalling a computer, then I'm not even logged in. Now I need 2FA and everything. Because, you know, this is a very important thing to check, right? How old is my Twitter account? Because I want to flex about the most stupid thing ever to flex about.
Nice, Big Danny.
April 08.
That's mostly why I sign up to new platforms, to reserve my name. There's a flex.
He's not wrong.
Oh, man.
I managed to get the same thing on Blue Sky. I think it's right my name .net.social or something. And I think I missed the Mastodon thing. But on Mastodon, I could just... This is the good thing about that kind of stuff, that I could just add my own domain and have the entire thing. As long as I can prove that I own my domain, I can just, yeah, set it up as a registrar, more or less.
Kimmy says, I'm a baby, who knew? Because he's only been here for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time to
Kimmy will always be baby to me, though. The best filter ever.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I ran some...
He also has a very nice dog.
Topic. I ran some metrics on our documents that we generate using our document management system. And I came up with like, what is this number? 292,000 documents with an average of 17 documents per month and a total of, or 17 pages per month, or per document. Good grief, I can't read. And 5,125,826 pages throughout all of those documents.
Sounds like a lot.
It's a lot because AWS is encouraging us to try out their Textract, because I'm currently using that DT search application in order to be able to index the files and be able to search them, but you have to know their syntax, whereas Textract, you also get an LLM on it that you can do RAG queries and yeah, in natural language. So we're considering it, but the initial upfront cost is it's $15 per 1,000 pages. And if we have 5 million pages and divide that by 1,000 and you multiply that by 15, it's like an upfront cost of $77,000 just to get started. That's insane.
Costly.
Yeah, a bit. But I mean,
do not approve.
If you're using it by itself, it's only $15 for 1,000 pages, which is not bad. Because we do about 1,000 pages per month, I think is what I came up with. So it's only $15 a month.
I'm not sure how much you get on Azure static web apps. I know you get 60 minutes of compute for free.
Oh.
Yeah, as far as data, so
this isn't
and
like necessarily hosting or anything. This is using a service called Textract that does the indexing and adds an LLM layer for your
that
searches.
I have no idea about. None whatsoever.
What did I break? Where are you broken? I don't know what I did that I broke this.
Yeah, because all Blazor errors are so easy to understand. That's probably my main issue.
Especially when you're in render mode auto and you're like, is this caused by being in Blazor server or being in Blazor Wasm?
Mm-hmm. Or when you're running .NET Watch and all of a sudden it doesn't update anymore.
Speaking of, I'm gonna
You don't realize why, and it never told you that it stopped updating.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's just a lot of times you get a whole bunch of errors that drown the, you made a rude edit. Do you want to recompile? Blazor is the common denominator.
Yep.
So but Control F5 worked. I'm going with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that error means that it's on the server, right?
Yeah, this one. Well, actually, this one is.
I meant the one in console
else.
there. WebSocket connections failed. That's because the server went 500.
Well, I mean, this is still something else. This is pointing to the IIS WebSocket or something. And oh, wait, no, I didn't mean to Control C that. And I did Control F5 to run it as an app using Kestrel. So that shouldn't be trying to connect to that.
No.
That should be localhost port 7194.
So why is it trying to access some other random port?
I don't know. Like, that was something that I was researching because I was tired of hot reload not really working and CSS autosync, and I wanted to get rid of that error. And one thing that I did find that did get rid of it for me when I'm doing .NET Watch, at least, is adding in the if debug app.use WebSockets, and it got rid of the error.
Huh.
Oh. Goodness. Ooh.
You don't look so good.
The thing that's happening right now, I know. The thing that's happening right now is I'm trying to apply these CSS rules, specifically here and here, and they are not applying. Even if I stop the app, clean and rebuild. That's no fun. And I do Control F5.
So do you have a rule that's being overridden or something somewhere?
It's not even showing up as applying. Because like we would see it if it's getting overwritten, it would just have a strike through.
Yeah. So I ran into that, and the reason that didn't work for me, and I'm just throwing this out as an idea for you as well, is that Blazor ruins the C in CSS.
Well, I understand how that works.
Yeah, but I've definitely been able to finding something in the wrong file and nothing worked. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely able to work with Blazor's where they fall into the chain of CSS.
Yeah.
This is more.
Yeah, I was just thinking if that was the issue here. Yeah. Yeah, no, but so if like, you're example, in the wrong, if it's using the wrong attribute, or whatever it's called, the wrong filter attribute there, then you won't see the rule because it's defined on something else.
No, it's good. If I'm seeing the rule in here, then that means it is on the element that I'm looking at, as long as I didn't go to inherited. But now the height and width did show up on my article and on my page content. Okay, so it finally did show up, but I'm still not getting my scroll bar. Why am I still not getting my scroll bar?
Yeah, but you have overflow hidden.
Yes.
You had overflow hidden there, and if it's hidden, then it doesn't...
I'm looking for this scroll bar. And it's because I need a height and width 100 here as well. Okay. You get it too. Okay. Yes. I think I got it. And this is dumb because I spend so much time trying to get the CSS to work on my sample app, and I don't need it to look good. I just need it to be something that I can work in.
Mm.
You know?
It doesn't need to look good, it just has to look not bad.
Like these buttons here, this is annoying me and I want to fix that, but I don't really care about it. This works.
So I'm not going to tell you what's annoying me.
Is it the dark mode?
No, it's the double lines for each column. Or in the cells.
Double lines for each column. There aren't double
Yeah,
lines.
the breaks. The breaks. That won't fit on a single line.
Oh, the line wrap. Okay, word wrap.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Well, I can get rid of that. I'll get rid of that right now. Just for you.
Aw. I mean, since you're already overflowing outwards, right?
Yeah. There. Oh my gosh. CSS autosync worked. That's cool. Yes. I need a gap here. It's really...
Yeah, that's to... what's it called? CSS... Can't remember the name. Grid? No?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it called grid?
It's display grid.
I can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then you can do grid... Yeah. Grid column gap? I know you know this. I'm thinking for myself here.
Totally okay. You.
I love grid area, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Like, really love it. Instead of, defining exactly with numbers, I can just define the grid layout in one place and then just say, you're going to fill this.
We're going to give this a, why not, 1 font size gap. Are you still auto updating? Yeah, you are. Awesome. That's cool.
I just realized I'm lagging behind because I'm looking at the
stream
at Discord. So I'm like, why is he saying things that haven't happened yet? And now I can see it happening.
It's because I can predict the future.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
I try to be smart and then sometimes I forget.
So I'm done with the CSS for this file. The next thing that I'm going to do, actually there is, I can't do that. The next thing that I am going to do for this is to set up test library for being able to save the configurations. Because if you remember, the data import utility that I've been working on this whole time is just that. It's only the UI and the library for you pick a file and it shows it as a data grid and it changes it to your C# class. It doesn't do anything with databases or remembering your configurations. So this is going to be specific to the lab data import, save it to the database so that we can reuse them over and over and over.
And or.
And also over. But that gets rid of my vertical scroll bar. Poop. I still need my vertical scroll bar.
You also need data.
It's getting there.
To display. All right, so just to... Gotcha.
Okay, we're just going to do this.
Yes, you can scroll that one, but when you added the right one, when you started mapping, did that scroll bar disappear?
Did it?
Or what happened? I don't know. It looked like it, but now you have it again.
Why isn't it showing?
I don't know.
No, they were both there. I'm going to use the CSV again since it's the same number of files anyway. Okay, preview. Yeah, scroll bars in both.
Yeah, so you have both. All right. It looked like you didn't have the left one there, but you did.
Look, auto mapping. Custom auto mapping. Oh, man. I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Look after yourself. You need to.
Yeah. You first, man. You first.
Always.
Napalm is going to haul himself up to Seattle and angrily give Palumi a piece of his mind.
Who's in charge of Palumi? Is that a Microsoft product?
No.
No, I didn't think it was.
Tell us what your sentiments are, TPD.
I was like, considering when I started looking at Palumi, Napalm was all like, yeah, Palumi's great. Palumi. And I keep seeing the Palumi hate. I'm like, oh no. But I've also heard all the hate around Terraform and all those things.
Mm-hmm. It's, just anything that is infrastructure as code.
Well, I remember a quote that probably everyone knows, but whatever, about how democracy sucks, but it's the best thing we've tried so far. And Palumi is kind of the same way, because I hate all other types of infrastructure as code, but I hate Palumi the least. Does that make sense? And hate is a very strong word, but dislike or can't wrap my head around, because Palumi is C#. You don't need this special markup language to build logic.
Or Python.
Yeah, or TypeScript. Or Python. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Palumi is code.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying using it so with Liquid Sky, I'm trying to practice that art, right? Of figuring out what does deployment look like, and infrastructure as code does make sense from a deployment standpoint. It definitely makes sense to me. It's hard, but it's a discipline in its own, right? It's actually, it's not what I do. It's like front end dev. I can kind of muddle through, and I've become a big fan of understanding enough to ask the questions, but not becoming an expert.
No, I mean, infrastructure as code is a great idea, but it's very hard to implement in a good way, I think.
Right. But what's the alternative?
First step of it was freaking, in my case, ARM templates. Right. I built my cloud solution in the GUI, and then I downloaded the template so I could just run it again and generate the same thing. And then now you have all these languages which will help you do it more precisely and add more logic to it. And then, as Mojo says, we have Aspire.
Oh, we've triggered something.
Peter.
Yeah.
Live code is on his way in.
And
here we go.
President Not Short, very much. He found the quote I was looking for.
I forgot to tell you that I'm pulling you in, Peter. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
We like
yeah, well, depends.
Takes time.
I don't. He hears a robot. Am I a robot?
No. Thindal got some digital buffering thing, whatever it's called.
Am I better?
Audio artifacts. Yeah, you're better.
Oh, good.
I'll have to know your Twitch lore. It's a Mr. Destructoid. It's the appropriate emoji to tell the streamer. It's a little robot, like you sound
I'll
like
do
a
my
robot.
best to remember that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about building a bot to create our infrastructure, so bot might be a strong word, but
I was just talking to some new people about like How they were doing Terraform, they basically said, we really hate this thing. Can we replace it? And I was like, you better not dare replace it. Don't you dare. And then I immediately told them, but I hate it. It was a Terraform module for VNets, a public Terraform module for Azure VNets. And it really doesn't save any time, and it doesn't save any complexity, and it adds a layer of indirection. But you know what? The rest of our regions use it, so this dude had better get in line, otherwise they're gonna have problems. Anyway,
but again, I don't think there is any good solution in my mind for infrastructure as code, but the idea is really good, so let's use the best that we have.
All right, this is my whole thing.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. My whole rant that you triggered while I was not on the call is that I think when a coder approaches Terraform, your natural instinct will be like, well, the benefits I get out of, using methods and variables, like those will be the same benefits as using as when I'm coding like a C# app. But let me just state this affirmatively. The biggest thing by far for me running years and years of Terraform, and this will apply to everything you do, Pulumi or whatever, who cares? The best thing I can say is, number one, it is so good for safety. Because once you start having a production environment, and it includes, for example, databases or things hosting data stores of various kinds, and you run Terraform and you're like, or you make a change and you run Terraform, the biggest thing for me is like, by far, is this a safe change? And Terraform goes out of their way to make sure that you know exactly what's going to change. And I have also been surprised a lot by what it thinks it needs to replace, including those databases and data stores, which would have been catastrophic had we replaced them. So
I
that's
think Pulumi
one.
does the same thing as well,
right?
But yeah. Or you just do it my way and copy paste the whole thing. Like going into RDP and copy pasting in your new version. I just go into the GUI and set everything up manually and hope it works.
Yeah. Hey, we set up some new stuff. We have both Terraform new stuff and GUI'd up some new stuff. And I try and be ultra flexible about like not getting crazy about Terraform and everything, but yeah.
For every
and then the other
rule,
thing,
there is an exception, right?
I guess. Yeah, I guess. Except that
Yeah,
we all hate Terraform. No exceptions. We all hate Terraform.
But again, just like democracy, best bad idea that we've tried.
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we got a lot of comments. Everything else sucks the same. That's from Fuel. Azure VNets can rot in hell as a whole. Wow, that's strong. AWS did do it better.
Napalm, I don't have enough data to disagree or agree with you about AWS doing it better than Microsoft, but I'm not agreeing.
That was a lot of double negatives.
Yeah.
We don't know where you ended up on that.
I ended up with, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you're fine.
So I'll trust you.
ARM templates were garbage the last time I used them. Like, the whole thing rant about safety didn't exist back when I used ARM, and I can't believe it, because it was so terrifying to run the ARM template every time, because you were about to lose your entire infrastructure. And apparently early CloudFormation had that problem. But both have improved in theory, but no one should do ARM.
No. ARM is
all-
great if you just want to create a copy of something, right? If you want to spit up a VM from this image with this kind of VNet behind it and these resources and maybe a blob storage with a new ID. You have an environment. I want another one that's exactly the same, ARM all the way. If you want to
Still sounds terrible.
modify something, don't use ARM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask what's ARM exactly.
Azure resource something.
Anyway, they're templates. They're JSON templates describing your infrastructure in Azure. They're like Terraform, but native JSON. If you go to like any Azure resource and say, look at resource JSON, it's basically you're looking at what you would do in an ARM template.
Yeah.
In fact, pretty much the only way to write an ARM template is, first of all, don't ever, is the year is 2024 late. But if you do, you click on the resource JSON and copy paste it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can also export as ARM or ARM to get the entire resource group. But
So
you build
almost
something
like
in the GUI and then you ask it, give me the template. And I think you
like
can
the way
use
they
ARM. Go. Sorry.
It's kind of like the way they used to do pipelines in DevOps, and then they're like, no, start using XAML.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Go ahead.
I
Wait,
think you
XAML
technically can
pipelines?
use-
How old is
No,
Or-
YAML.
YAML is what I meant.
YAML,
I
XAML.
think you technically can use ARM to modify things as well, just like you can with Terraform, for example. But in general, don't. Don't even less than use them to create copies or set up your environment.
For reference, my long-term plan is if I manage to make Liquid Sky an actual product with a platform, the first person would get hired would be DevOps to deal with those things as an actual expert in that thing. I'm only doing the DevOps part because I want to understand a little bit more of it. I don't want to become an expert in that piece as well, which is a challenge that we all face.
Yeah.
Every time we have to expand our knowledge and expand everything, we all have to become kind of
Expert.
expert enough, but yeah.
Mm.
We're often just lacking in most of the knowledge we need, which means we end up coming up with new solutions. Sorry.
Just at big companies, they have whole platform engineering teams. And in theory, you're kind of tied to that platform, but at least you have, what I've heard is you have great tools.
Yeah.
Of course, and I mean big places, but not, not 50 devs, but more like 1,000 devs. Anyway.
A friend of mine had a full-time job managing Jenkins.
Yeah.
That was his single job. Make sure our build server doesn't die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he worked at Zynga.
Okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just got laid off. So if anyone
really?
needs a Jenkins expert, I know just the guy.
I think the thing we've moved away from, we kind of created this idea of having DevOps, and we kind of then just shifted them back to being ops that use scripting more. And they don't.
Yeah, and also developers that could developers that are suddenly forced into doing ops jobs as well.
Yeah. So I still think there's great value in a team of having embedded DevOps, like having someone in the team all the time that's working on, this component has a deployment concern. Here's how we go and change it for deployment. And have that focus. And I think we moved back away from that in the organizations I've worked for in the past 15 years. We've definitely kind of shifted around where they've just kind of fallen away from the actual teams and become independent teams that are basically DBAs. Treated as bit DBAs, like, it's over the fence, right? Like DBAs and DevOps are kind of parallel with each other, and then there's developers, and DBAs and DevOps are just blockages to everything you want to do.
By the way,
the
it's basically
DevOps term.
Be
Sorry,
thinking
go.
of your
Keep
stand-up. Be thinking of your stand-up. You gotta get it ready.
I'll just be here.
I think the whole DevOps thing kind of wrecked having ops because suddenly the bosses think that we don't need them. DevOps is great for, setting up the requirements or listing the requirements of an environment and doing deployments, but then you also have to keep things going. And even if you have the requirement list, you need to set up the right thing. And I think they could save a lot of money by having actual ops people who do that and nothing else. I could also be terribly wrong.
To respond.
This is just my hot take.
Carefully.
I dislike in any organization. I dislike having barriers. I dislike having, like today I had to write a message. Basically, I had to do a PR, and last time I did this PR, my PR has a database update script in it, and the database update script is insert into table these values. And the last time I did one of these PRs, the DBAs were like, whoa, you need to make sure you're inserting the IDs. I'm like, why? Well, so that they're the same across all the databases, all the clusters.
Oh, wow.
Right. But there's already data out there, and now you're asking for this. So you let the first one go out, and now there's actual data in the wild. You want me now to write an update script that coordinates updating what is already millions of records to now realign IDs. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Like, do you have a
And if you have a cluster, shouldn't that still be? Shouldn't it?
I could go into many issues, and I won't go deeper down that path. But my point there was, I have to throw it over a wall. It has to land in front of someone who has to take it seriously. They have to, oh, you should put in a ticket or whatever, and it becomes this obstructive process that slows everything down. I want someone to call me and say, hey, let's work on this together, and I'll work you through this, and we'll get it done in 20 minutes, right? And now we've got a script that we both agree on, we're both comfortable with, we're both verified, and we can agree on that PR and get it moving forward. But we end up creating these silos, and I've been there multiple times where it becomes a them and us, and it shouldn't be a them and us, because we should have the common goal of delivering software in an effective and efficient manner, and we lose track of that and start putting officious.
I definitely agree with you, DBD. I've been in that situation as well, where it's like, the devs stay away from the servers. You don't get to touch this. You don't even get to see it. Just give us the application and we'll handle it. And then it takes 4 weeks and nothing works, and you get the thing thrown back in your face saying that sucked. What I mean is, you have someone who knows enough about ops in the dev team. So you have someone doing DevOps, absolutely, who can actually understand how to make the requirements. Then you have someone in an ops team that can actually figure out, okay, so what do we need to fill these requirements? And after that, you can work together, where the dev team handles updating things and keeping things working that way, and the ops teams make sure that things are running efficiently after that. Because a lot of DevOps teams are like, so let's just crank it. A customer in mine had a monthly cloud bill of $2.5 million US, and then they brought in an actual ops team and got that down to, I think, 100K. So 100K is still a lot of money, but it's not 2.5 million, right? And they got that by actually looking at, what do we need? What can we do to streamline this in production? Which DevOps wouldn't do, because they just, all right, I'll get enough that the application works great, even though it wasn't the right solution. So you need the cooperation between these. You don't want the silos, as you say. My opinion doesn't have to be correct.
I think that we none of us like getting blamed. None of us like getting being responsible for things that we don't feel are our job, right? And I think that naturally creates silos. I think it's on an organization to create an environment of collaboration and make sure that it's understood that sometimes we can work together on things, and it's kind of why I'm building what I'm building is I see those challenges and I want to make those things visible without making them a restrictive administrative overhead, right? This should just be visible to people. We should understand, here's the actual things we need to get done. These are being worked on. That's great. Awesome. And the people that need to work on it can collaborate. Mojo and I had a conversation about self-organizing teams last night. And I've started to try and say groups rather than teams. So the team is everyone from the PM through the technical group, right? Where DBAs, DevOps, developers, QA, they're the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not.
But the issue in my mind is that we have DevOps, but we no longer have Ops. And the whole blame game, as you said, that sucks. No one should get stuck with the, it's called shit sandwich in Swedish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ops team, I mean, I can understand it when you have teams. The ops team don't want filthy developers going into their pristine servers and wrecking everything. And the dev team don't want the ops team to wreck their application by putting, ball and chain on it.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to cooperate better, and that's what DevOps should be doing. But instead, it's kind of taken over, and all developers need to be DevOps experts. And yeah, we can't do everything well. And when I say all, I mean that's it's called hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
All
right, y'all. I just looked over at the fence and something just got thrown over and landed. With that, I have no blockers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
think when we're agreeing TBD.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. But again, it's kind of why I'm building what I'm building. Is I feel that there's a need of transparency that shouldn't be the responsibility of the people involved in that effort necessarily to make sure they're talking and telling people. We should know what the effort is, be able to define the effort, and everyone be able to agree on things and see where things are tripping us up and causing problems. And we can't be experts at everything. We absolutely can't.
Yeah. Nope. Exactly.
And we should embrace that idea.
So is it time for a stand-up?
That was a really good conversation. I didn't want that to stop. That was really awesome.
No.
That was cool. But yeah, we can do stand-up. I need to do something. I need to probably go to Walgreens.
So I can start off real quick if you want.
Yeah, please do.
I'm going to spend the weekend trying to get my computer working again. Because right now it's kind of working again. As always, it takes time to set everything up, and that's why I didn't want to do this, but darn computer just died on me during the stream on Tuesday, which is not very fun. So yeah, no blockers, beyond tons of stuff to do.
All right, TBD.
Liquid Sky, more Pulumi this week. Today got the storage working for then the communication to not work with the app server. So back to figuring out that piece, but so kind of blocked. But I think it's just a case of reviewing the configuration. So I think I'm going to go with that. So over the weekend, I'm going to continue on with that. And hopefully by next week, have working Pulumi deployment of the app service.
Yes, I will give you the energy for that and the encouragement. And I will be trying to figure out how to remake this, or not remake, but adjust this database so that it can save the templates from the field mappings, not that the field mapper thing is done, and figure out how I'm going to capture the mapping definition without necessarily doing a JSON serialize of the mapping object in C#. I
use a MongoDB. It'll be fine.
Yeah, because then I'm like, if I do the JSON, do I need to capture the NuGet package version that was used for that? Do I version all of the different models if I update them? Yeah, just a lot of stuff. So I'll be
honestly, I set up Mongo from 0 on stream. Took 45 minutes to set up a local instance and get everything working. Can recommend.
Cool. That would be nice, and then I have to figure out how to deploy that.
You hand it over the line to the DevOps, right?
Yeah, and it's like I'm just going to use what we have in place and not change any of it, since all of the databases are already SQL Server, and yeah, I'm not going to add another.
That's a conversation for another day.
It wasn't terrible. Was my point.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to figure that out and try to make up for lost time. I did more work on the stream than I have all day, which is not saying much. So, but yeah, that's it. That's no other blockers other than the stomach. All right. So thank you guys for being here. Do you have any final thoughts?
Other than feel better.
Rewind and feel better, man.
Yeah, look after yourself,
and that's a great song. Small pools. Be kind.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
We'll see you around. Bye.
Bye.
Right, ciao.
Make sure you're drinking water. Hydrate.
Definitely.
Take care. Bye.
Yep. Awesome. That was Thindal and TBD Gamer. I will drink water after the stream because I need to refill my bottles. But I think I'm gonna need to run out. I'll do it too, cause I promise. Can I give you an IOU? Remember to check out TBD's streams. He streams Monday through Friday typically at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and Thindal streams typically on Tuesdays, I believe. I think it's around 11 a.m. my time. Yeah, I try to lurk on his stream whenever I see him live. He shows up on Telerik stream or Code It Live stream on occasion. Yeah, so about an hour ago, 11:30 a.m. my time, and it is currently. Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys. You did amazing with your conversations that you were bringing up, and it was great topics. So thank you so much for contributing to Community Day. And I obviously am not going to restart my stream, my workday stream, as I have been doing on some Fridays, but I will be back again on Monday, provided everything goes well, at 10:30. So 2 hours ago, or 9:30, sorry, 3 hours ago. I do plan on trying to do 9:30. We'll see what I do during the Thanksgiving week. It's Thanksgiving in the US next week, so I don't really know what I'm going to be doing. Probably still Monday, Wednesday, Friday stream. No plan changes. Okay, wear a turkey suit. That's what I'm going to do. And I will be giving thanks. You're right, Mojo. Thank you all so much for being here, though. I'm not going to raid out because I need to go. Kind of like Fritz Clippy one, but he made his own. That was awesome. He did homemade. I am wearing a lion suit. What are you talking about, Dukasoft? And later, Deflux, thank you so much for being here. Oh man. Yeah, ciao. This will go live on YouTube as soon as I stop the streams and stuff. And feel free to join our Discord. Okay. Ciao for now.